Okay, welcome behind the scenes as we're going through the Teleprompter app. This is a little bit of a process that I go through every day, so I apologize if the sound quality is not great. It's early in the morning, pre-gym, so you're catching me before the glamour and we're doing the actual videos. So when it comes to the app, what's my workflow? So on a morning, I open up the Teleprompter app. And as you can see in here now, there's a lot of stuff in here that I don't use, right? Remembering that I'm using a teleprompter rig and I'm actually sending this content to my iPhone, which I'm going to show you. And then I'm using a double iPhone setup with the teleprompter app running on one of the iPhones. I'm going to show you that. But in terms of the actual app itself, so you're seeing that there's a lot of things in here, things that I don't use, things around recordings, the hub, the ability to have visual timers. So a lot of this is set as an app that runs on your phone. I don't use it for that. I use it purely as a teleprompter. So there are a lot of things that I don't use. My daily workflow is about scripts. So very much like a Dropbox or a folder structure. There isn't anything that I need to teach you about this, but what the benefit of the teleprompter app is for me is that this is then mirrored on the iPhone. So one of the things that you've got when you use the Des View, for example, it comes with a teleprompter, but it doesn't sync. So I can't create content on my computer and then send it to the iPhone and have it sync, right? I've got to create the content on the actual app on the phone, which I don't like. So this is the feature that I really bought it for, which is the ability to create my scripts and then have the scripts appear on the phone so that then I can use them mobile and use them with the teleprompter rig that I've got. Hopefully that's making sense. So what you can see in here, let's go into, you've seen a lot of the word of the days, right? So you're like, oh, it's very polished, right? So I create a lot of the word of the days just by way of an example. So you come in here, you can create file, write new script. You can generate a script with AI or you can import a script. What you're going to see, so let's just open one up. So the way that the app works, this is how it would run were I to be using it now on the computer. So this is what I would see. This is what I would see on the computer. And I would try and sync that within my eyeline. The teleprompter rig puts this content via the iPhone directly in my eyeline, so I'm reading it, right? So I'm a little bit more polished than I am right now. If I was to be using it pre-edit, so assuming I've edited it first, the thing that you've got down here, you can set the pace in which it plays to be a fixed speed. So here you can see at the bottom, this is the speed by which I would be reading. But the cool features that it's got is voice glide. So voice glide is it will stop and start and match how quickly you speak. So you dictate the speaking speed. It then follows along with you rather than actually setting a fixed speed. I prefer the fixed speed because my content is educational, right? So I'm doing educational content and I want to maintain a rhythm and I don't want to go fast, right? I'm not a TikTok mentalist, right? I'm not out there. I'm trying to convey a message in a calm and considerate way. So I would use the fixed speed, and you can increase the speed and reduce the speed depending on how you want to talk. So I talk at this pace as a rule, but the faster we set it, the faster it will go. So the faster that you will get through your content in your videos. You've got time scrolling in there, which I don't use, and then how many words per minute. So if you want to speak at 60 words per minute, then it will sort itself out to that. But I set a fixed speed. So this is pretty much it when it comes to the app. You've got a couple of things here. You can increase the size of the font. Again, is useful when you're using this on a phone on different devices. You can align the text left, right, center, no issue. And then this mirroring text. The mirror text is rig specific, really, in my world. So I use, as I keep saying, I use the Des View rig. But what that means is because that's using a series of mirrors, that the text, if it was to be in the way that it is now, would be output backwards, right? And depending on how I set the device on the rig, it could be upside down. So this counteracts that. So you're going to set this once. So it makes no sense, right, in terms of how you're seeing it on the screen, but when you're mirroring it through a rig, that absolutely makes sense. And then there's a couple of settings that you can set that I'm not going to go through. So they're the things that's how it would work on the computer. And then what you can do is you edit as you would with anything, right? So what we're doing here is we're putting a load of white space at the beginning, and the reason we're doing that is on a rig, well, in any scenario, when you press play, you don't want to start speaking straight away, right? That doesn't doesn't make sense. You're going to be like, okay, press play, and then you're going to be caught mid whatever. So you let it run for a little bit. You're going to pick this up in the edit and tidy it up. So you give yourself some white space so that it gives you that chance to compose yourself, and then you're off and running. Now, how you want to create your content is entirely up to you. I create content natively. You can create it based off of blogs. You can create it based off of getting AI of choice to create the script for you. But this is how you would do it. So you come in here, you create your content. What we're doing is we're giving ourselves pacing. So we're putting short sentences, for me, again, my style, and then we're putting in a spacer, and then we're putting in the next sentence. So that allows us for visual clarity. If you imagine that you're reading this again on a device, if all of the words were in a paragraph, you'd be like squinting at it and looking at it. Here I can deal with short sentences. I've got the spacing to understand what I'm seeing. And when we're reading from a teleprompter, um, when we're reading from a teleprompter, we're reading a sentence ahead. You can tell I'm not, right. We're reading pretty much a sentence ahead. So sometimes it may be the case that your brain is consuming the content and then translating that into what you're seeing, what you're going to say. But it can also be that you change it on the fly, right? So you're getting the context of what's coming up, which is quite an art, right? You're not just directly reading it. I'm not just saying founder of High Table. We do things completely differently, right? It's almost a prompt. It's a teleprompter. So it's giving you the words for when you get stuck, but your brain is going to be then processing and adding in and changing potentially, and therefore you want that spacing to be set out. So that's how you would create that. You're going to do files. You're going to save that, and then that's going to save that into a file structure. What I can say is that sometimes in terms of the app, even though I'm here in scripts, what it can do is it can put them at the root. So what do I mean by that? So your scripts can get created and then they'll appear here. So where it says demo, and you're like, but I was in the folder for long form, or I was in the folder for word of the day, and it goes, yeah, I don't care. I'm just going to put them in the root. It's not an issue. You just come on, you right click it, move, and then move to the folder that you want. I don't think I need to teach you how to create folders, right, by clicking on plus. Maybe I do. So I'll put in new script, use scripts, uh, sales, maybe. That's fine. And then we can create a load of scripts. So we can organize our scripts. And again, these are going to then appear on the phone, and then I can directly manipulate them or edit them. One of the top tips that I'm going to give you here is when we create our script. So you can see we've got our script, we've created our script, we've saved our script. And when I've shown you before at the bottom is this speed. This speed, you want to set this in the main app. So the app that I'm in right now, which is the computer-based app, you want to set the script speed here. Because if you don't set it here, it will default. And when it picks it up on the iPhone or the device, it will be the speed that you set here. The mistake that I made is I create like 20 scripts. I didn't know that, and therefore they were all at default at 40%. What that meant is, as I'm going through my script schedule, every time I open the script, the speed is at 40% and I speak at 60%. So then I'm fiddling around on the iPhone in each one trying to change the speed. So do it here. And it does seem to default. So if I say 67% here, it does then seem to default for any new content. So it's stuck with that. You can see it's stuck with that. And then it should, I think, write new script, put some blah, 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 right, it should, 67%. So whatever it is that you set the speed of the last script, it will set it. But if you don't catch that early, it defaults to 40, everything's going to be slow. You'll be like, why is everything so slow? So catch that early and deal with that early. So that's the process that I do. I come in on the morning, I create my scripts, I tune them, put in humor, whatever, look for my references. A lot of work goes into creating the script itself and the content itself. I load up the content into here, I save it, and then I go on to the next phase, which is actually videoing that. So I wanted to show you behind the scenes of how that teleprompter app can work. And yeah, apologies for the proper behind the scenes. I'm not dressed for the day, right? I'll do another video using the teleprompter app and the rig setup that I've got and how that looks on an iPhone. And you can go to my YouTube channel at Stuart Barker. And most of the short form videos that I'm doing at the moment are teleprompter based. So you'll be able to see how it looks, the speed, the cadence, and the eye positioning. Hope that added value.